This week I'd done the usual episode of Robin Hood with a Y, and it was awful again. The heroes, in air quotes, robbed a pharmaceutical company. It's a show where they've taken the classic story of Robin Hood and changed pretty much everything about it. Almost every character has had their ethnicity changed, their gender changed, or both, including Robin himself. Or herself, because in this version, Robin Hood now looks like this. And why does this keep on happening? The show is also a mess. Most of the programmes I've been watching for the channel have been a mess of horrible writing hidden behind a tissue-thin veneer of diversity. And in the light of this, I sat down to watch the new South Park episode Into the Panderverse, and it was great. I can't remember the last time I laughed as much as I did watching this episode. I had so much fun with it. I think it may be some of South Park's best ever work. The one consolation of all of this terrible media may be that at least it gives South Park good material. It also genuinely made me think about some of my own positions, because in a timely fashion, the episode spent most of its runtime poking fun at exactly the sort of mindset that's led to the creation of shows like Robin Hood. But most of their ire is directed right at Disney again, Marvel and Lucasfilm. And in the style of South Park, it isn't exactly subtle about it. Like their depiction here of Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and her creative process.
Our stocks are down and every Disney movie this year has failed!
We don't understand it, sir. We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, but suddenly it's not working.
Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
And they don't hold back. Although this is an alternate dimension version of Kathleen Kennedy, and it just gets funnier and funnier for me because of the context. A lot of people have been vilifying Kathleen Kennedy for some years now, and I've lost count of the amount of videos that have come out on YouTube speculating and predicting that she was about to get fired. She's supposedly been just about to get fired for the last 5 years now. And in true South Park fashion, the show is mocking all sides, including itself in places. And one of the groups it takes aim squarely at is people excessively hating on Kathleen Kennedy. And already, a lot of YouTubers, who I will be polite enough not to name, have come out to gleefully talk about South Park, poking fun at Disney and Kathleen Kennedy, taking this as vindication and blaming Kathleen Kennedy again. And they seem to have completely missed that the episode seems to be poking fun in their direction as well. And before I get into plot spoilers, if you intend on watching the show, I'd maybe go and do that first. You can always come back and watch the rest of my video later if you want to, and maybe tell me if you agree or disagree with what I had to say about it. But I strongly recommend you take the time to watch this episode of South Park, even more so if you're already a fan of the franchise, because I found it very good. I'm not sure I agreed with all of it, but the laughs alone make it well worth watching. It's the most fun I think I've had watching anything for this channel, and I like being able to give a good review for once. I had to watch it multiple times to write this, and it was still making me laugh on the third watch through. As for the cosplay, I did find this lady doing multiple characters from the show South Park, and yeah, that's kind of hotter than I would have expected Kyle's mom to be. So, the episode opens up with a very cold open. Cartman's mom is in their house talking to what appears to be an adult black lady, and something is immediately strange because this is a new character that's just thrown in there with no explanation, and as they talk about how the lady is late for school, it grows increasingly hard not to notice that the things that she's saying are suspiciously Cartman-like. Cartman's mom gets the lady to go to school despite her wanting to stay home and play Baldur's Gate, and what the hell is going on? At the school bus stop, we see that some other things have changed. The traditional South Park lineup, well, they're all now diverse females. Stan is maybe Hispanic, Kyle now is maybe Indian, and Kenny appears to be a purple-haired East Asian woman that reminds me a hell of a lot of Sabine Wren in the recent Disney series Ahsoka. A lot like Sabine Wren, but spends considerably more time in this episode talking about a girl called Tammy Mullen's Knockers, which if anything would have been an improvement on Sabine's dialogue in Ahsoka. And the dialogue is just like the young boys would say, and there's something hilarious about watching their usual juvenile antics and dialogue being done by adult female characters. So you see, Christopher Hitchens was wrong. Women can in fact be funny. If they're written by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Joke, no angry mobs please. So they talk a lot like the boys. That is, until they start delivering out-of-place lines about the patriarchy.
Dude, Kenny, enough about Tammy's knockers. You sound like a white male trying to re-establish the patriarchy.
In short, it's a massive send-up of modern Hollywood writing. And this is when actual Cartman wakes up in a cold sweat, and it's all revealed to have been in Cartman's nightmare. And as he wakes up screaming, he wants his mum to check under the bed to make sure no Disney executives or Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, are hiding under there.
Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
Kathleen Kennedy is not under your bed.
Can you check the closet?
Eric, enough!
He's worried they're going to come out and get him and change him into a diverse female. And you would have thought that this would have been the first clue to YouTubers that make a lot of videos about Kathleen Kennedy, that the South Park people maybe had you in their sights a little bit. It's usually not a great sign when you've been cast in as the Cartman role. And Cartman spends the episode theatrically throwing himself through windows, trying to get away from the boogeyman Kathleen Kennedy.
You might think everything is okay, but Disney? He's gonna get you. Kathleen Kennedy's gonna get you. Disney and Kathleen Kennedy are gonna get you. Kathleen Kennedy? No, she's gonna try and change me too. I'm the only one left.
Hey, get back here!
She's gonna get me.
Until she finally catches up with him when he's in Diverse Butter's room and he throws himself through a closed window again when there's an open one right next to it and I lost it.
You, come here. No, 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 no!
I was already primed by Diversity Butters.
Lulu, I got some apples. Lulu, you got some too.
In fact, in this episode, both Kathleen Kennedy and her detractors are both Cartman. And by the end, the South Park guys lay the blame for Disney's recent bad output at the feet of both Disney and Disney's critics. And the thought occurred to me while writing this, do I fit into this group? I've certainly been quite critical of Disney, but I don't think I've mentioned Kathleen Kennedy much, if at all, so maybe not. I think she has to carry some of the blame for what's happened, and I'm not sure South Park even disagrees with that. For me, the buck has to stop somewhere, and she does seem to bear quite a lot of the responsibility for what's gone wrong with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, because if Dave Filoni writes a terrible episode of some Star Wars show, a lot of that's on him, but maybe not if that's what he's been told to do by higher-ups. And even if it wasn't, it's not only on him. Because if Kathleen Kennedy employed him to do it, and he can't do the job, that's on her. And if she can't do the job, that's on Bob Iger, the president of Disney. And if he can't do the job, I suppose that's ultimately on the shareholders of Disney. So South Park, I think, have tried to be very balanced, and it's more balanced than I think I would have been in their place. If Disney put out a bad product, I think that's a lot more on Disney than it is on their critics, but I think they also won me over a bit. People are blaming Kathleen Kennedy, and some seem to think that if she goes, everything will be fine again, and I don't think it will any longer. If Bob Iger didn't agree with what she was doing, why is she still employed there? Even if she goes, he could just put someone who's the same in her place. So there's that, and there's also a long story arc about Randy Marsh trying to repair a broken oven door in a time when AI has rendered many jobs useless apart from handymen who now rule as feudal kings in a world where everyone else has forgotten how to do things. Meanwhile, Kenny is trying to protect someone called Tammy Mullins from getting farted on because she has massive knockers. And Cartman is convinced that he's not just having dreams. He's convinced that he's seeing into an alternate dimension, but the other boys walk away, saying that multiverses are lazy and lame, just as Cartman gets sucked into a portal and ends up in an alternate universe, where all of the characters from South Park are now diverse women who complain about the patriarchy. Meanwhile, Cartman is replaced in his own world by the lady from his nightmare at the start of the episode, much to the confusion of the other boys, and there's something about seeing a full-grown woman acting like Cartman that's magically funny.
This is just taking Cartman, same old Cartman, and putting a black woman in it.
Well, you know what I think about that, Cal? Hold on.
And meanwhile, we see Cartman in this alternate universe, and these different versions of the characters brought me such joy.
Okay, children, let's take our seats. Today we're going to talk more about female exclusion in the male patriarchy.
And and Cartman is in his own personal hell in the alternate dimension, with the new diverse Butters and the new diverse Mr. Garrison, and everyone talking about the patriarchy non-stop. And one small criticism: I could have used more diversity, Mr. Garrison. Mr. Garrison is one of my favourites in the show, and I may have to go back and re-watch the entire Mr. Garrison Trump arc now. The whole multiverse thing seems to be a clear sideswipe at Marvel, and at one point, Kyle explicitly says the multiverse is something that they use to breathe life into tired franchises. And it probably shouldn't be lost on the audience either that South Park also rag on how lazy multiverses are and that they're for tired, dead franchises in an episode of their show that they wrote about multiverses. So it appears as usual no one is safe from these guys. Themselves, possibly me, Matt Damon, Russell Crowe, the Film Actors Guild, and Paris Hilton certainly wasn't safe. Kathleen Kennedy also fell through a portal like Cartman did, and a new Kathleen Kennedy came into our world after her excessive pandering and use of an item called the Panda Stone in Disney's basement. And it made me laugh quite a lot that they played it like nobody in their world is able to discern a difference between this version of Kathleen Kennedy and the real one.
Well, we have to do something. Kathleen Kennedy is down on set right now ruining the new Bambi movie.
Put a diverse woman in it. Make it live.
Different. All right. What do we know about the Panderverse?
And all of this criticism of Disney is very timely, because the news has just come out that Disney's Blade has been pushed back again. The director has allegedly walked from the project. Claims in the press say that the film has been plagued by script changes and a lack of creative direction, with one version of the film deigning to morph into a narrative that sidelines its main draw, the double Oscar winner Mahershala Ali. In that script multiverse, Ali would be the fourth lead in a story led by women and filled with life lessons. And Disney, have you gone insane? Are you okay over there? How did anyone ever think that was a good idea, to have Blade be fourth billing in a Blade movie? And it sounds like a parody. If true, that's wildly disrespectful to the audience. Do you expect people to go and put down whatever ungodly amount of money it is this week for cinema tickets to go and watch a Blade movie that barely had Blade in it? Do you think the audience will be happy with that? And I quite liked Mahershala Ali. He grew on me when I saw him in Luke Cage. How about if you have a double Oscar winning actor, you actually have him as the lead in the movie that's named after his character, instead of making the movie about his daughter? Then, if you want to make a movie with the daughter, do it. Name the film after her character, but stop with the bait and switches. Who wants to see a Blade movie led by women and filled with life lessons? People expect Blade killing vampires with a sword. So it clearly isn't all Kathleen Kennedy's fault, because Marvel has gone to hell as well, and she isn't even running that. So the show closes out with Randy concluding that all his problems were Kathleen Kennedy's fault all along. And then Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy reach an understanding about the roles both of them have played in ruining everything. And Randy and Disney use the Panda Stone to put everything right. They banish the alternate Kathleen Kennedy. Everyone goes back to their universes apart from Randy, bringing through a lot more handyman into his universe. And then Randy can get his oven door fixed. This episode of South Park was pointed, thought-provoking, and wonderfully silly all at the same time, and I loved it.
You might think everything is okay, but Disney? He's gonna get you. Kathleen Kennedy's gonna get you. Disney and Kathleen Kennedy are gonna get you. Kathleen Kennedy? No, she's gonna try and change me too. I'm the only one left.
Hey, get back here!
She's gonna get me.